Taking a minute to go live. And we are live. That was a little faster. Greg and I did a show where it took like 11 seconds, 15 seconds, which normally it takes 4 or 5. It was a little unnerving. But here we are today. We're going a little early because rain yesterday, rain in the forecast today. There's a doubleheader today. The site's already launched their contest with it in. It's a 1:15 game, so they're not pulling it like we've seen them do in the past if it goes too far in front of the start time. So we are trying to accommodate that because every site has included it. And after yesterday, when literally no sites had the same slates as any other site, today we're going to respect that and have some fun here on Sunday. Good sir, how are you on this May the 4th?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Always better to see your smiling face with the glasses today. So got me extra excited over here. Was a really good day yesterday, as you know. Really played what we talked about. I mentioned towards the end of the show that I was getting higher on Gaussman. He was a big part of my lineups and successful lineup. And then the wrapper on Houston stack.
That was the key. What, a triple
Myers
runs? Was it by Myers?
The 51 spot by Myers is pretty I mean, that's about as random and sun running as you can get. Like that, to get a 50 bomb from like a 1% owned player is pretty nuts.
That was crazy. I barely had any of him, which, hey, it's going to happen.
That just goes to, okay, you know what I'll point to with that, though? And, like, obviously that was extremely lucky. But you ask me often, like, what players in the lineups I want to play. And oftentimes I'll say, you know, certain guys I like more, but that I want to play everyone in a lineup that I want to stack because I'm stacking against that pitcher and I want exposure to everyone. This is a good example of that. Myers wasn't, like, a key play for me or anything, and I only played him in 1 of 4. But I had exposure to everyone in Houston's lineup, and in that one, it ended up working out.
Nice. I did not do well on the early slate. Did okay in basketball and did very nicely on DraftKings. I swapped off of most of my Atlanta and Dodgers, but fortunately did not take one-offs out where I could, or I mean, just by happenstance because I did it quickly via the Sims, and I ended up with one Shohei Ohtani lineup that had the Nationals around them. So I ended up at the $5,000, the $1.20 max. The top 4, I think I finished 4th. The top 4 were all Stokastic avatars, and I was 3rd or 4th when we all had unique lineups. So
that's awesome.
Good times. And I was fast asleep when that goodness happened. I was asleep before that delayed game even started. So
I was too, but I actually ended up, after hearing what Dave Roberts had to say, I actually made the Braves a priority. So the wrong side of that game. I wish I had made the Dodgers a priority, but my night slate was pretty shot because I used Lodolo. He was awful.
Yeah, I had 100% on pretty much on FanDuel. So, and the FanDuel only did the 4 games, and I skipped the weather game. So, like, yeah, whatever. But let's get in. Let's have some fun today here. There is a lot of weather. We're going to talk about it where we can. We don't know what's going to happen. I thought for sure that they weren't going to keep that Atlanta and the Dodgers game going for the entire night, right? Because to me, it's like the whole few things to cover. Home team gets to make the call on weather. The next one is sometimes the league will step in and push things behind the scenes, especially with a team like the Nationals that screws around too much. But it's really the home team that makes these calls. And then people were saying, oh, they won't play it on television. They won't play it. Television has nothing to do with whether or not the games go. And this was one of the Fox Saturday baseball games. That doesn't matter. But I was thinking they don't play till Sunday night tonight. They could do a day-night doubleheader. They don't even have to do a twilight double, a back-to-back doubleheader. They could just do it throughout the day. I thought they were going to go that path. But so, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and sometimes it rains. Crash Davis, noted baseball philosopher. But let's get in on our pitchers here. Matt, tell me who you like for pitching today, and you can feather in the weather as you see fit.
Yeah, so obviously, as you've mentioned, weather is a concern today. Not a concern for the top pitcher on the slate, Garrett Crochet. who is just, is going through like a little bit of a rough stretch for his purposes, like for how good he is, but his upside is always as high as any pitcher on any slate he'll ever be on. Today, that's no exception. So at 10-8, he's expensive, but not worried at all about this Twins lineup personally. I think that Crochet has massive upside in this spot. I think he's SP1. I think DeGrom is SP2. I think the drop-off after Crochet is bigger than like DeGrom to Peralta, but I think DeGrom is SP2. Cheaper than Peralta, better, even though Seattle's been really good offensively this year, it's still a better matchup than Peralta's in. Not a great matchup for either of them. Seattle has been good, especially on the road. The Cubs obviously have been very good, but I think you're looking at those three guys, Crochet, number one, and then DeGrom and Peralta in either order as I think the guys you want to prioritize here. Now, they're expensive, so like playing two of them is certainly doable, and it's my preferred route. But I don't think it's a must just because of how pricey playing like Crochet and Peralta or Crochet and DeGrom is. So whenever you're spending over $20K on your two pitchers, like you're allocating a lot of your funds. So it's always worth looking at if there's any cheap pitchers to at least, dive into. I do think that those three guys are the clear top three, though.
Yeah, and I would definitely agree with that. Who was number three? Sorry, was it
Peralta?
Peralta. Okay, so Peralta, fastball Freddy, long time frontline starter in the league, very familiar with the Cubs. Cubs have a phenomenal lineup. Still, his pitch mix is reasonable. The Cubs can destroy anybody, as we saw them do with Paul Skeens. Right, so it is what it is. But that I would agree are the top three. As we look lower down the lineup, we've got or down our top pitchers tool, we've got Edward Cabrera. So he's made 4 starts, obviously returning from injury. He is challenging hitters, has almost a strikeout per inning. He's walking a boatload of batters. That's a problem. And at some point, he's going to turn it around and get to his talent equilibrium. But he's not there right now. Does that happen today? Maybe yes, maybe no. But I think it's a weather pivot. And when we get into the game-by-game portion, I think there's 6 games that have varying degrees of weather risk. So he's someone to just kind of keep in the back of your mind. There is some potential weather in New York, which takes Taj Bradley out of the picture. Well, Taj Bradley kind of has taken himself out of the picture with the complete lack of strikeouts and going against the Yankees. But he is someone that, in a talent perspective, is one of the better guys on the slate today. And then we got a whole bunch of question marks here, right? You've got Andrew Heaney, who, when healthy, he's solid. What's going on with San Diego? How many of their hitters are going to be healthy and in the lineup, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of question marks here after our top 3. The one guy I wanted to ask you about, how do you feel about Tanner Bybee in particular? Toronto has been, mercurial on offense this season. We keep mentioning, we got the all otherworldly pedigreed, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and then also baseball royalty in Bo Bichette, who just is continuing an 18-month slump here.
He led off the game with a homer yesterday.
I know. It's because, of course, I shit all over.
I know. I know.
Hey, the Mandalorian, get it, Bo Bichette. It's May the 4th. What do we do? Tanner Bybee. I need boots on the ground. I need the Guardians guy to set us straight on Tanner Bybee.
I don't really love him here. The price tag is right, but nothing about him this year so far makes you want to play him in this spot against the Toronto team that isn't amazing offensively, but they don't strike out. He's got a 4.57 expected ERA, an 18% K rate. Like, he's fine. I don't think he's a bad play because I do believe in his stuff long term. And I think that, this is like, you're not going to get him much cheaper than this, like, again, in the long term. But right now, there's nothing about this spot or him in particular that makes me want to go to him.
All right. I see Eric Johnson, and there's this no May the 4th stuff today. My wife already hit me with that first thing this morning because she knows I get a kick out of it before I had even thought about it because I hadn't put the dates on my article yet. I hadn't done it. And she's like, oh, May the 4th be with you. It's like, oh, that's payback for me saying for 3 days before just saying, hey, what day is whatever? Do you know what day it is? And she's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, it's got to be May. Got to be May, the Justin Timberlake. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Let's walk through this game by game. We will definitely call out some more pitchers. We will hit upon the weather concerns here. I'll flip over to the top stacks tool in a minute. But the one game that we're going to go through of the first four that doesn't have weather is actually the game that was postponed yesterday. It is Blake Tidwell going against Eric Fedde. So this one here, we don't want the pitchers. We don't want either pitcher, but do we want to attack Fedde? He is, he went over to the KBO, reinvented himself after almost essentially washing out of the league after many years with the Nationals, came back, changed his pitch mix, I believe added a sweeper. Why do we not hear about, remember 2 years ago, everything was sweeper, sweeper, sweeper. You hardly hear about the sweeper at all this season. Isn't that kind of funny?
Well, I think just it's more known now. Guys will certainly throw it. It's just like,
oh, yeah. But that was just a buzzword. It's torpedo bats. Torpedo bats. It's this year's buzz phrase. And pitch clock was before that, et cetera, et cetera. So the humidor, when they revealed that it was actually in way more stadiums than previously mentioned, all those fun things. In any event here, Fedde is someone who can absorb punishment. He doesn't give up a ton of extra base hits, but he's been giving up runs because he doesn't strike people out. So his last two games have been rather dreadful. But if you go look at some of the stack scores in his games where it looks like he got his ass kicked, it didn't really behoove the other team as a stack because there just weren't enough extra base hits to really be a difference maker. Do you like either offense in our first game?
Not really. I think they're both middle of the pack offenses today. Like nothing about either of them stands out. The Mets look better than the Cardinals, actually, which is a little bit. That's probably what you'd expect. Fedde is not a guy that I'm certainly afraid to pick on. But there are pitchers I'd rather pick on here. The Mets are expensive. If I were playing 150, I wouldn't be avoiding them, but I'm not going out of my way to play them in small field stuff. And then the Cardinals, I don't know. They look worse in the tools than I'd kind of expect. Tidwell, obviously an unknown, has high K upside, but also can get hit. So the tools have me lower on the Cardinals than I would expect. But with that being said, it's unlikely I get to them. So, I think me personally, I'd rather play the Cardinals than the Mets, just ownership considered. But they're also a little bit pricey, and the spot doesn't look particularly good. So, off this game, more or less.
All right. And we do have quite a few games. There's only 3 afternoon games today in the 4:00 hour. The second game of the doubleheaders at 6, and then there's Sunday night baseball. Last week, we had quite a few afternoon games. I believe it was even a 6-game Sunday slate. So that's not the case today. So there will be some teams where we're just kind of crossing things off. This could be one of them. And then again, weather, which we'll get to. Starting on our next game here, Kansas City at Baltimore. Some weather in the area. Does look like the storms are going to be moving through. So there should be a window after the initial wave in order to get the game in. We've got Kyle Gibson, who gave up not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 home runs in his last game, in his debut, in his second stint here with Baltimore. Was it the first 3 hitters got him from the Yankees? I want to say it was the first 4 or the first 5 ended up with home runs.
It was
disaster for him. On the other side, you have Michael Lorenzen. Always a fun story. Was he was a outfielder, part-time outfielder while he was with Cincinnati, dual threat while he was in college. But he really hasn't played in the outfield since the 2020 season, and obviously was a decent hitting pitcher. But since the 2020 season, we've had the universal DH. So he is now in his mid-30s, just kind of meandering along here. Batters of Birdland haven't totally broken through yet, but looking at that 5.2 implied run total, knowing the talent in this roster, this is an offensive opportunity on both sides here. Are these teams making your short list for your stacks today?
Yeah, so good spots here for both offenses. There is weather here for sure to worry about, so I think that's worth at least taking into consideration. Not exactly sure what to do with that, but just know that there are weather concerns, although expect this game to play kind of the same story we've seen with the Royals. they are middle of the roadish, high middle of the road top stack percentage, but high ownership because they're so cheap. Same story here. So I don't love them in tournaments because they're going to be overowned, but they do look better than they have on some recent slates just because they're not that overowned, and Gibson might just be washed. So I don't hate the Royals today like I do on some other slates. The Orioles look better to me. They're more expensive, so harder to get that to them, especially with pitching, expensive pitching we like. But Lorenzen, I'm not buying what he's selling at all. He's gotten by with smoke and mirrors for a while now. Baltimore has, left a lot to be desired so far this year, but I'm still a believer in this lineup. They're coming in under-owned. So basically the exact same top stack percentage for these teams. Baltimore is 4.5% owned. KC is 8% owned. I get it because of the expensive pitching, but I'd much rather play Baltimore. I'll put it like that.
All right. One of the interesting wagers that was out there for a while was the over 3.5 strikeouts for Kyle Gibson. I was looking at both sides of it here. His strikeout rate actually has gone up a little bit in his last couple stops from when he was in Philadelphia to his first stint with Baltimore. He's challenging hitters. He doesn't have much left. This is one of those, it's coming. Hopefully you don't hit it well. And we saw that not work out in the first game, but he should be able to, I would think, absorb enough punishment to hang around for 4 strikeouts. So that is a rare over that popped up on Portfolio EV today. I do want to remind everybody that if you go to the YouTube description below us here in the video, you can get a free 7-day trial of Portfolio EV if you have not yet signed up for that product. So it is something that you will see us referencing a lot. It's a very, very powerful tool, and it is something that helps not only on the regular sports books, it's also on the social sports book sites like NoVig and ProfitX, etc. So check that out. Portfolio EV 7-day free trial. All righty, let's look here at game number 2 game number 3, but game number 2 of the 135 games. Tampa at New York. There is definitely weather here. Borrowing from Kevin Roth, we give him a hat tip since he slogs through all of this for us. He's a little more optimistic about this game, but he does think there are going to be potential showers. Now, we're not going to play either pitcher here, particularly not Will Warren and Taj Bradley, even though this is not the best Yankees lineup without Chisholm in it. He's on the injured list, etc. Still don't want to go with him. So it's okay for bats. I don't think we'd be going after the pitchers here. How do you want to approach the battle in the Bronx?
Yeah, so it looks like major weather concerns here. Again, not exactly sure what to take of the weather spots, and as of right now, it does look like no game at this moment is just clearly avoid it. But New York looks like one that could be in some trouble. So again, just keep that in mind. That said, if the game plays, no problems. The Yankees offense always going to be in play. I don't think today is any exception. They're expensive, but a little bit cheaper than they've been. Bradley's a guy with high strikeout upside, but can also get got. So the Yankees are in play for me. I probably don't get there in my 4 lineups, but I could completely understand why someone would in small field. I mean, it's the Yankees. Taj Bradley, on the other hand, on the other side of that game, I should say, he's in play for me just like the Yankees are. I mean, he's cheap, 7,400 for his strikeout upside. Tough to have a ton of confidence with it because it's a really tough spot. But at 7,400, I mean, it wouldn't surprise anyone if he's one of the top points per dollar pitchers on the slate just because of his K upside. Similar to Edward Cabrera in a better spot, but Bradley's a better pitcher right now. So I think those two guys look very similar on this slate. We'll get to Cabrera in a minute. As far as the Rays and Warren go, Warren, he's cheap. He's cheap enough where I think you can consider it, but not really my cup of tea on this slate, even at a decreased price tag. If you are dead set on spending up on bats and need a cheap SP, I don't think he's the worst play in the world, but I won't land there personally. I think Tampa is a fine stack against him. Like, if there's big weather concerns, I'm not selling my soul to stack Tampa here. But if this game, again, were to clear up and play fine, I think Tampa is a really interesting contrarian stack, and they're cheap. So a little bit off the board again here. I prefer the Tampa stack in tournaments.
Sure. Mostly you'll want to focus there. And as we know, as Matt ran a nine-hole hitter to a big payday yesterday, the main focus here will be the lefties, Brandon Lau, Jonathan Aranda, and rookie Cam Miser. Those are the better ones. Simpson is okay if he can get on base. He's been stealing bases, and Tampa as a whole has been looking to steal bases this year just to go for that extra 2% and make up for the back half of their lineup, which I see today contains Travis Jankowski. Congrats on still being in the league, buddy. I didn't realize that. So there we are. Oh, I should put my birthday hat. My wife gave me this for my birthday. She says I need to represent Tampa Bay since we live down in the area now. So here we go. All right, that's it for that game. The next game also, let's see, has a little bit of weather. It's San Diego and Pittsburgh. If we look at the read on that one, it says enough rain for potential delay, but they should be able to play through it one way or the other. Again, borrowing from Mr. Kevin Roth there. So talk to me about the Pod Squad and the Pirates.
This game is really interesting to me, a wild card game for sure, one that I want exposure to one way or the other. I'm not sure where it's coming from yet. The bats for sure are the sides that stand out. Kolek as 4K. So I'm enticed to play a little bit of Kolek, I should say. Like, he doesn't look great in the top pitcher tool, but he's got over a 30% chance of being a top value pitcher on this slate, a top 2 value pitcher, I should say. Like, there are expensive bats outside of the top 3 SPs, Crochet, DeGrom, and Peralta. I'm not really scared to fade any of the others. So personally, if I'm not playing like one of the 3 guys up top, I got no issue going down to Kolek. It's risky. I don't necessarily expect him to pitch well, but he couldn't land in a better spot. I mean, against Pittsburgh here. So, yeah, like, I think that Pittsburgh stack against him, the Pirates are in play because he's an unknown and hasn't been great even in the minors, but they're over-owned. He's under-owned. He's 4K. It's still the Pirates. I'm on Team Kolek here over the Pirates personally. Again, slim margins there, so if you wanted to stack the Pirates, I couldn't fault you at all. But that's how I'm reading the board right now. And then San Diego versus Heaney. Heaney's been pretty good this year. I'm not really buying it, though, and San Diego is the team I have circled. They're pretty high on the top stack tool, not getting a ton of ownership. I mean, to be completely transparent, though, like, the top stacks tool is there's no team with a higher than 7.7% chance of being a top stack on the board. So, like, it's very jumbled. I like San Diego. They're one of the top stacks in my mind. Again, if they were your 10th stack instead of, my 4th stack, I don't think you're wrong there. I just think I have them a little bit higher than the field does. How about you?
I would agree on that. It's just the full-on spread or the even peanut butter spread there of on the top stack tool is interesting. I suspect we'll do one more ownership run between now and first pitch, probably solidifying where some of the weather may be coalescing a little bit. I don't think that's fully factored in right now. Again, we still have till 1:35 to make those decisions on these games. So even though there's lock is at 1:15 today because of that game 1 of the doubleheader, the ownership is still going to move around, I would think. And we saw that yesterday too, as news dribbled out. Let's see. How about it's time to going north to Boston? That'd be a good name for us. What you mentioned, Garrett Crochet, absolutely phenomenal, clear top pitcher on the slate today. Last year, from July on, the White Sox did not let him go more than 4 innings in any outing. That had him with north of a 12 per 9 strikeout rate. He's down still in double digits. this year. The Red Sox handed over 3 or 4 solid prospects for him. They're going to give him the bag as well. So both teams are kind of happy with this. But Crochet just looks absolutely phenomenal. The only hitters you have to worry about at all are Buxton and Carlos Correa, a rare moment where they're both healthy at the same time. Of course, I'm blanking on who's their third baseman who's injured. That guy who hits all the
Royce Lewis.
Royce Lewis. I was going to say, I was thinking Kyle Lewis, and I'm like, that's not the right name. So Royce Lewis obviously out. You've got Ryan Jeffers and Ty France, both kind of contact hitters. They don't necessarily strike out, but they don't have a lot of power either. I mean, Ty France is like the rare. He's like the Tony Gwynn of first baseman. He puts the bat on the ball. He just doesn't really get much in the way of extra base hits. This is all advantageous to Crochet. So really nobody scares me here from the Twins. On the other side,
I think you had it right in that Buxton and Correa, or at least Buxton is a tiny bit scary. Correa, not really. Watch him homer today. But yeah, I'm with you. Other than
worth mentioning. Yeah, definitely worth mentioning, but it's like I was more scared of the Nationals against Lodolo yesterday than I am the Twins today. So
well, I mean, are you taking into account that Crochet is just way better than Lodolo? Like, are you just saying strictly the matchup?
Like all of it. Sorry, the overwhelming popularity of all the
totally
coalescing with him and being like, well, how can I take advantage of this? And it's like
Crochet is a guy that will get, no matter how big a slate is, and really no matter how pricey he is, he'll always be really popular, except if he's in a really tough spot and crazy expensive just because of how good he is. Lodolo was just a byproduct of the slate yesterday.
Yeah. And even like Hunter Brown, when we talked about that yesterday as well, he's got the ace treatment in the salaries. Oh my God, he was so bad. He gave up 3 runs or whatever it was in the first couple innings to the White Sox, and then settled down and had a perfectly fine game. Right. It's one of those where I feel more confident in Crochet, similar to how I did in Brown. It's like worst case scenario, like quality start with 6 or 7 strikeouts. I'll take that for this one. When we look at the bats here, Chris Paddock, let's say some less than flattering things about him. Let's see. Back in 2019, Matt, that was when he popped up as a rookie, was solid, and that was the apex of his career. Injuries got to him over the last couple years. In the 3 seasons prior to this one, he only had 24 appearances, 116 innings. So injuries kind of knocked him out here. His strikeouts have been okay, but he lives on the edge with fly balls. That's not something that's going to work very well against the Boston Red Sox, particularly the top 4 in the order, assuming they went with the usual suspects. Get over that filter correctly. So, yeah, Duran, Devers, Bregman, and Abreu is 5th. Surprised to see Christian Campbell there 4th, but we'll throw him in. He has decent power and is limited. 98 at-bats over the last 2 seasons. He has a 400 WOBA, 200 ISO against righties. Love the Red Sox. Surprised they're not getting more representation here in tournaments. How do they make your cutoff of 4 teams today?
I like them a lot. The problem is they're expensive. So I kind of understand the ownership because they're real expensive. So, like, man, you're not really rostering. Well, you're not rostering DeGrom and Crochet and stacking them 1 through 5. So, like, where are you conceding? Are you conceding and getting different with some Red Sox? Are you not playing one of the top pitchers? Are you not stacking Boston? I mean, those are all considerations. That said, I like them a lot here. They look really good. Price agnostic, they're up there as one of, if not the top stack on the board. So a lot to like about them, no doubt.
Yeah, they're definitely on my short list for top stack of the day. But again, you have to make some decisions here. And that's something that Yahoo and DraftKings did a pretty good job with the pricing. FanDuel did to a lesser extent with the Boston Bats and Crochet, but they've got a bunch of missteps out there that it makes it not as hard to get to that combination there. So Again, your mileage may vary, but these are the things we like to look at. We also like to look at the likes going up. Hit that like button, the thumbs up helps us here with the YouTube algorithm. And also, if you haven't subscribed yet, it's well over 104,000 subscribers. Join in on the fun. Hit that notification bell and get a pop-up alert anytime we go live. And we go live constantly with our free video content here. This is a key way to keep it free. Please hit that like button. All right. Continuing along here, now we are on the Guardians and the Blue Jays. No weather to worry about here. And even if there was weather, it's a retractable roof there at the Rogers Center. Tanner Bybee, Bowden Francis. Break it down to the number one Guardians fan here at Stokastic.
Yeah, weirdly enough, I actually like offense in this game more than the pitching, which is a little bit unexpected. I mean, Bybee is a guy that I believe in his stuff long term. Like we went over him a little bit earlier. I don't like this spot for him. I'm not on him. I'd certainly take him over Francis in this spot, but really I like both offenses. I mean, Francis has been awful to start this season. He went through some rough stretches last year before he turned it around. His actual numbers are bad, 5.28 ERA. His expected numbers are way worse, 7.45 expected. Like, yeah, I think you can definitely get me on board with some Cleveland bats here. Not like the best ballpark, but not the worst by any means. Good matchup. I mean, I see nothing wrong with the Guardians here. They're kind of middle of the road in the top stack tool, but I think I like them a little bit more than that. So, yeah, you could sell me on some Cleveland here. Toronto, probably not so much.
All right. What else do we need to talk about? Well, we need to talk about the old Stokastic Hall of Fame here real quick. So let's share that tab. I'm going to drop the link into chat here. But if you guys are rocking the Stokastic avatar, you have a chance to win prizes. Look at that. We have multiple levels in the Hall of Fame. You can get a free month of any single sim sports package. And look, you get more at the different levels. And this is great. Look at the Ring of Honor, the platinum level. This was Lofty's little brainchild here. He created all of this. All you got to do is download the Stokastic avatar. It's on this page here. Upload that to your DFS site of choice. Finish top 3 in any tournament with at least 5,000 entries. Tweet Stokastic HOF with your screenshot showing that Stokastic avatar in the message, and then email support@stokastic.com, and we will get you set up with 1 month of single sims package of your choice. Check that out. Just, I mean, look at that. The 20 max yesterday that I was talking about. 4 of us finished 4 Stokastic avatars. Were 1, 2, 3, 4. There's just over 5,000 people in that contest. That means the top 3 could get 1 month of Stokastic premium sims. Check that out. And if you guys were one of those that finished up there with me, redeem that. Redeem that. Okay, back to this screen and our next game. A 140 game. The Athletics, the Marlins. We mentioned it's potentially going to be a both sides are here for Edward Cabrera, hoping he recaptures his talent. You could probably say the same thing there about JP Sears if he feels like getting some strikeouts today. He always avoids walks, but he doesn't always avoid power. And that's a problem until we start looking at the Marlins lineup, and then we're less concerned about it. Break us down through this game. No weather, potentially a 4 corners game here. Talk to me, Goose. Talk to me.
The A's look really, really good in the top stack tool. This is probably, I talked about the Pittsburgh game being a wild card game. This one is the biggest wild card for me. Between Cabrera and the Athletics. Like, I'm a believer in Cabrera's stuff, especially for DFS purposes because he's got such high strikeout upside. But, man, the A's have been good to me this year. They look really good in the top stack tool, and they're coming in under-owned, and they're cheap. Like, I might have no choice but to stack the Athletics here. Knowing in the back of my mind I used Cabrera against the Dodgers last time out, now I'm going to stack the Athletics against him. What am I doing here? But that said, each slate is independent of each other. And today's slate, the Athletics look like, the best stack on the board probably. And then Cabrera himself looks like a really enticing tournament option. But on paper, you got to side with the Athletics. The Marlins and Sears, I'm not really looking to stack Miami here. I don't love Sears at 8,500. So I think that side of it, I'm just going to stay away from. But I'll probably end up with at least some Athletics and or some Cabrera. I will say one of my favorite bats on the entire slate is from this game, and I will reference him again when we get to the dongs of the day.
All right. I see chat asking, do you think there's any pinch hit risk in the Athletics lineup?
I mean, I know they have a little bit of a watered down lineup today. Not like, hold on, the bottom of the lineup's weak. There's no Soderstrom today. So, if they're in a tight game late, you might get one of these righties, come out for Soderstrom. But I'm not overly concerned with it, no.
No, I'm okay with it. This just feels like a standard Sunday lineup.
Totally.
Game.
They probably want to give Soderstrom the day off. He's been struggling, so it makes sense.
Yeah. But always a good call out. And we never know. It's baseball. We literally never know. Let's see. What do we got? Oh, wow. We still got 4 games. I'm going to keep soldiering on here because DraftKings did include the Texas game. They don't always do that. We have Arizona at Philadelphia. Looks like weather in this one. Let's see what our favorite meteorologist says. On and off rain throughout the day, potential heavier downpours. Not sure of what's going to happen, but I think they play well. Do you want to go with the pitchers in this one? That's the big question. Rodriguez and Suarez, couple of lefties. 1 strikeout artiste, that would be Rodriguez. 1 ground ball extraordinaire, that would be Suarez.
So this is Suarez's first start, I believe. He's a really good pitcher, but I don't like him in this spot against Arizona today. I like Arizona against lefties, especially with Ketel Marte back in that lineup. I'm off the pitching here. Erod actually looks pretty good in the tools at 8,200.
Marte didn't make the starting line.
Oh, okay. So there you go. So it makes me like Suarez a little bit more. More just makes me not really want to get to anything, as far as Suarez or the Diamondbacks go. Rodriguez and the Phillies, I'm surprised at how good Rodriguez looks in the tools at 8,200, but he's a good pitcher, pretty volatile. I don't love playing him at high ownership. He's not going to be highly owned today. He looks to me like, in the same ballpark as Cabrera and Bradley as far as this slate goes, and they all have basically the exact same top 2 pitcher percentage. So makes sense to me.
All right, so for the Philly and Arizona. So Arizona flies back home to host the New York Mets tomorrow. Philadelphia does not play until Tuesday. So there is, and remember, home team gets to decide. So they may want to try to find a window for this game. That's the one thing I wanted to add at the top, and I was waiting for a good example here, and this is one of them. If the home team is not traveling, a lot of times they will do more to get the game in if it's on a getaway day or if the series is going to change, especially when you get, American League versus National League. And it's like, we're going to see them maybe one other time this year. Then it's not going to be on our field to get a makeup game in. That's another thing that plays into factors here. We've seen some funny ones over the years where neither team is playing the next day, and they start a game, a local start time at 7:00, similar to what they did with the Braves. They started at 10 or what have you, just because it's like, all right, well, we both have a travel day. Let's get this in. We let's just deal with it. And then, give a wink and a nod, to the other team and be like, yeah, let's just go for it. So those are the different things that go into this. But this game, I think, is one of those where they probably will wait around and see if they can get it in. Obviously, they're looking at the forecast, and if there's no discernible windows, then they'll make a different call. But if it looks like it's breaking up later this afternoon or earlier in the evening, there's a good chance that they wait to play this one. Back to the offenses here. This is kind of funny. We're like 5 weeks into the season now. This is one of the first real Sunday set of lineups that we're seeing. I mean, look at even the back end of both of these teams. It's wonky.
Totally.
Considering, yes, it's going against lefties, but the combination of night game, day game, lefties, and deeper in the season, we're seeing some names that don't more than one name that you not unrecognizable, but a name you don't expect to see. And now we're seeing 2, and in some cases 3 in some of these lineups today. The old Sunday lineup effect. Anything else from this game as I attempt to get myself back on track before chat starts throwing?
No, just let it be known that late start in the Yankees. So just whatever that's worth.
Yep, I dropped that one into chat. Does look like they're going to, for those just listening along, like I would be if I was not on the show, I would just have this on in the background. The Yankees game is going to be a late start. That bodes well. Hopefully there will be a window to get that one in because, on this case, these teams play each other several more series throughout the year. When you get the Midwest teams, right? It's like, well, the weather sucks now. Let's, in Chicago or wherever, let's roll the dice and kick the can down the road. When they're playing each other. So, and with some teams, not Tampa and New York, but some of the Midwest teams, it's also easier to find a common off day to make up games too. When you're looking at, a 200-mile drive or a 25-minute flight between locations there. All right. Enough about all that stuff rattling around in my head. Decent pitchers, good offenses. Is this a recipe for something? Peralta, Imanaga, talk to me.
Yeah, I like Peralta here. It's a tough matchup, but Peralta is the type of guy that just, if he's on his game, he can dominate any matchup, and if he's not, he can struggle in any matchup. Obviously a get-up spot after they've kind of gotten rolled in this series. I expect a good outing for Peralta here. His numbers are really good. His underlines are good. As always, he puts too many guys on base, so that's a concern. But I like him here. I don't know if I like him as much as DeGrom or Crochet, but he'll be less owned. So I'm not on the Cubs here. The Cubs are at this point in play basically every slate they're on because they're really good. But I like the Brewers kind of here. Like Imanaga, I think is getting a little bit too much respect. His underlying numbers are not very good. I don't view him as the 4th best pitcher on the slate like the tools do. I don't really love anyone outside of the top 3. So grasping at straws there. But I'm more apt to use some Milwaukee bats. We know they've got power. They run. I don't love the spot. Imanaga's still a good pitcher, but they're going to be unowned. Imanaga's going to get a little bit of ownership. I could definitely, see using some Milwaukee bats. Maybe not full stacking them, but as one-offs. Outside of that, not much for me. In my 4 lineups, the only priority is going to be Peralta, if that.
All right. Drop the old link join into chat there. That's how you get all this fun stuff I'm sharing on the screen. If you sign up through one of those sites that are affiliated with us on the link join and follow the instructions, you too can get 1 month of Stokastic all access sims for a single sport. Check it out. Well worth it. Well worth it. Continuing along here. Let's see. Another weather game here in Chicago. This one I'm worried about because I really wanted to go after Bryce Wilson. And this looks like a game that has one of the higher postponement risks. Let's see what our favorite weatherman says. He says the game definitely will start, but he doesn't know if it's going to finish, and there will be a long delay. That could lead them playing in the rain, or it could lead to a shortened game. I don't want to have a shortened game today because, well, that's disadvantageous if you lose a couple of at-bats. But attacking Bryce Wilson feels like a priority. What do you think?
Yeah, I like Houston again here. Bryce Wilson and the Chicago bullpen stinks. No Jordan again, but Houston, they look good here. Got there for me yesterday. They're cheap. I kind of expect them to be a little bit higher on than we're projecting. They're already expected to be the highest owned stack, right there with Kansas City. They're cheaper than Kansas City, so they're going to get love here. I liked them more yesterday, even though they weren't unowned yesterday. They were still kind of popular. I think in the context of a bigger slate, they're going to be popular here. So I got no problem eating the ownership, but I also have no problem looking for ways to get off of it. That said, all in all, they have the highest stack score on the slate. They look good here. Make no qualms about it.
All right. I've got the official join link in there now. So you guys, this is what you get to do. Look at all these different sports books and pick 'em operators that you can join. Not only do they get you get their best offers, but by following the simple instructions, you get 30 days of Stokastic single sport premium sims as well. Check that out. Do you know who's pitching today for Houston?
Yeah, Lance McCullers. Been a minute.
That's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
It has been a minute.
That was Alec Guinness, also known as Obi-Wan Kenobi, when asked if he knew who Obi-Wan was, because he goes by Ben Kenobi. Great movie. May the fourth be with you. So McCullers has been out since 2022. We last saw him getting his ass kicked by the Phillies in the World Series. Don't worry, Houston won that World Series, so it all turned out well in the end. And he did have a good game in one of the earlier rounds. I want to say it was against the Dodgers. But since then, he has been dealing with a variety of elbow and forearm issues and re-injury that has kept him from pitching. I just can't trust him. He's going to go for probably 70 pitches today, weather permitting. He's ramped up through 4 minor league starts, basically 40, 50, 60, 70 pitches, a mix of AA and AAA. Almost wanted to push towards playing some White Sox, but the chance of a shortened game, we need every at-bat we can get from the White Sox to do that. But this is one I will be watching with bated breath because it's not until the 2 o'clock hour. So we'll have a better chance of late swapping out of it if need be. But in the meantime, I'm going to not have the White Sox in my player pool, but I will have the Astros because it's just too good of a matchup. And then if I get one-offs from one of the other 2 o'clock games, I'll be fine with that. But that's how I'm going to approach this one because Bryce was.
Yeah, he's not good. I mean, weather here looks risky, but it looks pretty good for right now as far as if they'll play. So
is the storm delayed in getting there? That allows them to get the whole game in because it should start. It's more going to be, does it come 90 minutes later, an hour, 2 hours later, 3 hours? We start looking good on that. All right, final game of the featured slate. We'll briefly hit on the late slate, and then we're going to get on out of here. Remember, it's a 1:15 lock, so if you haven't been registering for your contest, you better do that now because they are all going to lock at 1:15. We have Logan Evans getting another start for Seattle. He survived his last one. It's the best way to put that. They are missing a couple pitchers, including Logan Gilbert and Kirby, so they need to give him another turn in the rotation. On the other side, DeGrom starting to look de-groovy. Had one little misstep there, but has had a couple good starts. Is he back? Are the flowing locks with us? Well, the flowing locks aren't with us anymore, but is he back? You mentioned he's the number 2 pitcher. Seattle, the best record in the American League. That's crazy. What are we doing here, Matt, for the last of our main slate matchups?
I like all Texas in this game. They let me down last night as far as the Rangers offense goes, but I'll go right back to them against an unknown quantity in Evans. They're not getting ownership. They're coming in with leverage. And I like DeGrom here against Seattle. You know, a tougher spot than you would have thought coming into the year. Seattle's offense is kind of playing to the upside that we've known they've had for a couple years now. Last year was just a really, really down year for them. On the road, they're certainly better than they are at home. That said, DeGrom is still too cheap right now for his stuff. Certainly when you consider that Crochet and Peralta are in the 10K range and he's in the 9K range, you can make the case that he's the top pitcher on the slate price considered. I like him a lot here. Knowing it's riskier than, again, would have thought a few weeks ago, he looks really, really good, and I like the Rangers bats as a contrarian option. Seattle, not really interesting for me.
All right. If you had one scary Seattle bat, does anybody even make that cutoff? The Byron.
Got to be Polanco.
Polanco. He's been hitting it well. Ties to Minnesota. That plays in well. I see what you did there. That's next level.
He's having a monster year.
Somebody I can't remember what someone talked about it either on one of our shows or mentioned it in chat that either he had a minor injury last year or he changed his approach or something, and it's really helped open things up for him because he was kind of lacking, if I remember correctly, lacking power from both sides of the plate last year, and all of a sudden it's like, holy cow, this guy could have got the Mariners into the playoffs last year instead of the pitching staff falling just short of carrying that tepid offense. But he's been pretty solid. And then I don't even know what to do with Crawford. Lefty leadoff home run yesterday against Corbin because, of course, because half the time they play him in the 9 hole against lefties. Not yesterday.
He's really cheap if you're not playing like if you're playing Peralta and Crochet, he makes some sense as a 3K shortstop leading off. Not gonna lie.
Good times. We'll circle back on top stacks and everything. Let's quickly look at the 3-game late slate. The late slate kind of fun. Actually, a decent pitcher in each of the games. That is going to allow us to have some decision points here. I'm just going to rant for a minute here, and then you can fill in where I miss. But this is all covered in the free Spotlight Pitchers Top Stacks article. Logan Webb, great matchup against the Rockies. We see their lineup. They have a 2.6 implied run total there. Dreadful lineup. He has an excellent combination of ground balls, run prevention, meaning doesn't give up a lot of power because of the ground balls. And maybe this is one of his strikeout years. He had one a couple years ago where everything came into place. It looks like that could be happening again. Logan Webb is going to be everybody's favorite. But we have some options here. You've got Reese Olson going against the Angels. Olson's probably capping out around 90 pitches, but no Mike Trout for the Angels there. The Angels have a 3.8 implied run total. Fair amount of strikeouts there. So tough balance, fine line for Olson on FanDuel, where you really need the quality start. He's only qualified for 2 of them through his 6 or 7 starts this season, but he is in okay SP2 on DraftKings. And then the other one for your consideration is going to be Mackenzie Gore. Mackenzie Gore, tough ballpark to play in here for Cincinnati, but this is the guy that got 13 strikeouts against Philadelphia in the opener, got 13 strikeouts in Coors Field against the Rockies. That has no bearing on what's going to happen today, but it is good to see that he is developing into quite the potential ace here, which is good to see considering this was the haul along with CJ Abrams from the original Juan Soto trade. This was the team that did it first. That means every other side is the side that you want to consider for offense. Nick Martinez, chuckle. Even the Nats have a chance against Nick Martinez. Herman Marquez, the ghost of Herman Marquez, zombie Herman Marquez. Just not good times for Herman Marquez at this point. Everybody in the Giants lineup is in play. It is a 1:00 game. It's going to be in the mid-60s. This isn't an evening game. Remember that. That's important when you're looking at San Francisco. And then with Detroit, the Motor City Kitties, they're going against Jack. We'll just call him Jack K. He's a whole lot of as a pitcher. Looks like an innings eater at best. Probably should be a multi-inning reliever. Look to the lefties first. Carpenter, Riley Green, and McKinstry. Those would be the trio to target from the Motor City Kitties. What do you have on our 3-game late slate?
Yeah, so not a ton. I haven't really put too much time into it, to be completely honest.
Because that's why I did the run through there.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's Logan Webb. You're playing Logan Webb, and you're moving on with your life. As far as SB2 goes, Gore looks like, it's Gore or Olsen for sure. And then, the top bats are clearly San Fran and the Angels. Anything else is going to be – actually, we have Detroit and Washington. So I would say – not the Angels. I meant the Tigers. So, yeah, Detroit, Washington, San Fran. Those 3 teams stand out in the top stack tool. I think if you're using the Reds, Angels, or Rockies, you're obviously getting different. The Rockies certainly even more so. But, yeah, small slate. I don't have a ton to add, to be completely honest.
All right. I'm going back refreshed here. We're going to hit the top stacks tool for the early slate.
I thought you were about to say we were going to hit the showdown game tonight, and I was going to be like, no, we are not.
No. There's NBA tonight. And there's an NBA show not with us, but there is an NBA show. There's an article right now on the Stokastic NBA page. It's free, talking about the alpha and omega, a game 1 of the second round, a game 7 of the first round. This is going to be a fun one tonight. We get a new matchup and we get an absolute life or death grudge match. So that is going to make things fun over there. Top Stacks tool, the latest update here. We have Houston number 1 on FanDuel, but you can see it's basically let's just call it a 9-way tie. So things are very, very spread out. Let weather and personal preference be your ultimate guide here, but that is how it looks like on FanDuel. If we look at the popularity, similar. Top 8 are all kind of around the same. Leverage, not a whole lot out there. Negative leverage there a little bit for Boston against Chris Paddock. No surprise because the top of their order is great, but they're also expensive. Little positive leverage there for Houston. Why is that? Well, weather in that game is probably keeping a few people away. If we go to, maybe that was the DraftKings side. Let's double click this here. FanDuel, similar story. So there we go. Who is your home run of the day?
I'm going to go with Nick Kurtz. First ever home run. Yeah, he's starting to see the ball well. 2 walks yesterday. He's going yard off Cabrera today.
I just don't even know how to respond to that one. I'm going to have to go deeper off the board. I was going to take somebody against Kyle Gibson, but nope. We cannot do that. I'm not going to take anybody from Boston. So let's go look at, you know who it's going to be? Jose Ramirez. He made the lineup. He's batting third. What was his injury?
Yeah, he sprained his ankle. I love him today. It's a great call. He was high on my list. I love him today.
I'm going with Jose, because I root for the Guardians. Even though I'm not from there, I root for them. I don't know why you don't want to represent. So.
I'll take it.
All right, chat. With that, we're going to get on out of here. We've got the tools. We told you how you could get the tools with the Stokastic Hall of Fame program. We told you how you could get free Portfolio EV. This information is all in the YouTube description below us here. The links are there. Hit us up on Twitter. Reach out to us in Discord. We will help you out to get in on the cheap here with these amazing tools. You guys have seen Matt on one serious heater over the last 10 days. Let's see if it continues because he's been doing shows with me. With that, follow Matt on Twitter at Fantasy Tips Matt. You can find me at EMACDFS. And of course, it is Stokastic _COM. With that, gamers, good luck.